Welcome to Explore Talks. In today's video, we are going to learn a concept called parajumbles. Okay, let's practice few questions on this particular concept, parajumbles. They fled to the higher ground. Soon the floods retired and the villagers were able to return. The river overflowed its banks. The rain fell steadily for several days. The terrified villagers abandoned their homes. By looking at the options, you can easily say that A and B are not our opening statements. So let's not waste our time by reading those twice. Let's directly move to this CDE. So there is a high possibility like any of these statements can become our opening statement. However, let's look into C ones. The river overflowed its banks. Okay. The terrified villagers abandoned their homes. As you can see, as I told you before, our opening statements should always be complete. However, this statement C is giving that feeling which is incomplete. So we can directly eliminate option 1. Now we are left with 2, 3, 4. Now let's check 4. Why? Because 2 and 3 both are, however, starting with this D. So we will check it later. Once check option 4. The terrified villagers abandoned their homes. Next, the rain fell steadily for several days. First of all, we are talking about terrified villagers. From there to out of nowhere, we have changed the subject to the rain. So there is no logic here. There is no sync. And there is no continuity or any connection also. So based on that, we can assume that option 4 is also the wrong answer. We can conclude actually. Now we are left with two options, 2 and 3. And both the options are taking option D as the opening statement. So we are talking about rain. The rain fell steadily for several days. So now if there is continuous rainfall, what will be the result of it? Obviously, the rivers overflow, the river overflowed its bank. So D and C is a pair here. Why? Because D is talking about the cause, and what is the result of that cause? It is C. So based on that, we can conclude that C is option 3 is the right answer. Now let's check whether it is the right answer or not. Before going into that particular option, we will once check option 2 also. The rain fell steadily for several days. The terrified villagers abandoned their homes. Next one is B. Soon the floods retired and the villagers were able to return. So as you can see, they abandoned their homes and they returned. After they returning, there is overflow in the river and its banks. So there is no synchronization. There is no continuity. The order has mismatched. So that is the reason we can eliminate option 2 also. And the right answer is option 3. Now let's check whether it is right or wrong. So based on cause and effect, we got to know that D and C is a pair. Now let's see EAB. The terrified villagers abandoned their homes. So why did they abandon their homes? Because the river overflowed its banks. So to rescue themselves, to save themselves, what they did, they actually fled to the higher areas, right? Higher grounds. Next, soon as the floods retired, the villagers were able to return. So now this is the concluding part. Now let's move into the next question. Thus, despite India's huge population, we have not done well in Olympic Games. During the British period also, cricket remained popular in India. Cricket has been an extremely popular game in India for quite some time now. D. It is time our government and corporate fraternity pay due attention to other games, sports, and we redeem our national pride in Olympic Games. E. However, due to this reason, other games or sports did not receive the required attention they deserve. So our duty is to, as usual, identifying the opening statement. As we can already see here, we can directly eliminate option 4. Why? It is time our government. So what is time our government? The term it is referring to what? So we are starting our paragraph incompletely. So based on that, we can directly eliminate option 4. Why? Because D is not our opening statement. It is referring to something. Now, we do not have the answer for the reason. Like what is referring? It is referring to what? We do not have that answer. So we can directly eliminate option 4. Now, A. Now, see, if you see, none of the options are actually starting with option like statement A. However, even though if there is an option which is taking option like statement A as an opening statement, we can even directly eliminate that also. Why? Because thus. So these kind of words, when do we use these kind of words? When we are about to conclude something. So like these conclusions need not to be in the ending of the paragraph. However, those will not act as an opening statements because thus actually concludes something. So A is also not our opening statement. Now we are left with B, C, D and E. Sorry, B, C and E. So now if you look at E, we are starting with however. When do we use this term however? When we are contrasting something. So if there is any idea previously, only then we can contrast the previous idea. Since we are using however, which means there is a previous idea which we are contrasting to it now, right? So based on that, this can be our second statement or third or fourth or fifth, but this cannot be our opening statement. Why? Because if ever you're using however, there should be a sentence before it where we are contrasting it right now in this E. So we can directly eliminate option 1 also because we are not supposed to start our sentence with however as an opening statement. So sometimes there are some exceptional case where we can do. However, in this, you are even saying that due to this reason. So due to which reason? So there is no complete information again. So again, we are starting our paragraph incompletely. So I have eliminated option 1 and option 4. And now I'm left with option 2 and option 3. Now let's check it out. During the British period, okay, this might be our opening statement. Cricket has been. So see here, our subject must contain nouns in it, right? So B and C are most likely to be our opening statements. But I'll eliminate option B, like statement B also. Why? Because I'll tell you. During the British period also. So when do we use this term also? I like ice cream. I also like chocolates. So I'm adding chocolates to my wish list or the things which I like, right? So the term also is suggesting us that this British period is an addition to some period. So see, if there is nothing, to what you will add something to. Got it? So based on that, B cannot be our opening statement again. So what is left out? C. C is our opening statement. So now how many options are actually starting with C? There is only one option which is starting with C, and that is our answer. Now our job is not done yet. Now we need to check whether this option 2 is right or wrong. Cricket has been extremely popular game in India for quite some time now. Okay, so our subject is cricket and we are talking about cricket. Okay, during the British period also, cricket, see, now we are talking about time now, means our present. Okay, we are talking about our present time. And we are talking about the British period also. So the term is also is added to our present. Means we are talking about past now. So we went back to past and we are talking about past, what happened in the British period. Cricket remained popular in India. Okay, not just now in present, even in the British period also, the cricket game is considered to be very popular. That's what we are suggesting. So up to here, it makes sense, and there is no miscontinuity or anything as such. Next, however, due to this reason, other games. So we actually make this cricket, or it is since it is very popular, we don't even consider or we don't even pay attention to the other games and sports that are played in India. That's what we are talking about here. So this, however, is contrasting. Contrasting what? The popularity. Okay. So what the popularity of what exactly? The popularity of cricket. Due to this reason, other games. Okay. Due to this reason, which reason? Cricket being popular. Due to this reason, other games are not receiving attention they deserve. Up to here also, it makes sense. Next. Thus, despite India's huge population, we have not done well in Olympic Games. What is the next one last? It is time our government. Okay. So what is the time our government, like why do our government need to pay attention to it? Because we are not doing well in Olympic Games. So why we are not doing well in Olympic Games? Because we are not even paying attention, because we are considering cricket as our only sports that we have in India. And we are not even considering the remaining games or sports that much, and they are not even popular or well known to anyone. Since it is not popular, no one is interested in playing that. As a result, we ended up doing not well in Olympic Games. So that is the reason. Now this is the time where our government need to pay attention and need to do something in order to develop or in order to redeem our national pride in Olympic Games. It's clear. Now let's move on to the next example. Among the Pandavas, Bhima was extraordinarily strong and powerful. One day, Bhima made Duryodhana fall from a tree from which Duryodhana was stealing fruits. This enraged Duryodhana so much that he began to think of removing Bhima from his way. Duryodhana especially hated Bhima. Duryodhana was a wicked prince. He did not like that the Pandavas should be loved and respected by the people of Hastinapur. So, we need to identify the opening statement. So this whole paragraph is talking about whom. Our subject is very clear and it is easy to identify the opening statement. It is talking about Duryodhana and Bhima, right? And who is our subject? Duryodhana is our subject. So how many sentences, like how many options are taking the first statement as E? Only one option. Based on that, we can directly decide that option C is our right answer. Now let's check the remaining options also. One day Bhima made Duryodhana fall from a tree which Duryodhana was stealing fruits. Okay. Like after that, among the Pandavas, Bhima was extraordinarily strong and powerful. So here in option A, first we are talking about what Bhima did to Duryodhana. All of a sudden, we are talking about Bhima's extraordinary strength and power. So there is no continuity here. Based on that, we can eliminate option A. Now, option B. Now let's check it. Among the Pandavas, okay, Bhima was extraordinarily strong and powerful. So here, if we choose option B as our answer, Pandavas, like among the Pandavas, Bhima, we are talking about especially, right? So Bhima will become our subject, not Duryodhana. After that, this enraged Duryodhana so much. Okay, just because, see, out of nowhere, we are bringing out this Duryodhana. See here, in A, we are talking about who is powerful among Pandavas, right? It is Bhima. And what enraged Duryodhana? Do you have this answer? You are saying this enraged Duryodhana. What enraged Duryodhana exactly? Bhima's power and strength. If this is what you are thinking, there is no like proper logic. So let's see, maybe partially correct. We cannot say no and we cannot again say yes also to it. Next, and just go through that, keep on going to that particular option. After C, we have B. One day Bhima made, okay, now you can see. C and B are cause and effect. See, in B, Bhima made Duryodhana to fall from a tree. So that is the reason why Duryodhana is enraged because of Bhima, right? So C is the result of B. However, you have written CB, but it should be BC. It is not CB, it should be BC. So based on that, you can even eliminate this option. Next, option D, check it out once. As I told you before, it is also in the same way. So we can even clearly eliminate this also. It is similar to option A. Now, let's check whether our option C is right or wrong, just for our confirmation. So, as we already know that Duryodhana is our subject, there are two sentences which are actually starting with Duryodhana, but there is no option which is actually taking option like statement D as our option. So, that is the reason we can directly eliminate this option D. Like we don't even need to consider it as our opening statement. Duryodhana was a wicked prince. He did not like that Pandavas should be loved. Okay. So the term he is referring to whom? Duryodhana. Noun pronoun replacement. So based on noun pronoun replacement, E and F is a pair. So they both should be side by side. So based on that also, based on this rule also, we can eliminate option D and A. So there are multiple reasons to eliminate the wrong options and to choose the right ones here. So I'm just showing you all those clues that are given in this particular paragraph to choose the right answer. Next, he did not like the Pandavas should be loved and respected by the people of Hastinapur. So generally, he don't even like Pandavas, right? So out of all Pandavas, Bhima was extraordinarily strong and powerful. As you can see here, F and A has idea elaboration. In F, you have actually mentioned about Pandavas and you have elaborated the same reason here in A. So F and A is a pair. So E, F, A is the sequence. Next, one day, Bhima, since we have actually brought up the topic of Bima. So since we have introduced the traits of Bima generally, and the same idea is elaborated in B if you see here. So again, there is idea elaboration between this A and B also. One day Bhima made Duryodhana fall from a tree, which Duryodhana was stealing fruits. This enraged Duryodhana. So what enraged Duryodhana? Bhima making him to fall from a tree. So that is the reason why the sequence is F, E, F, A, D, B, C. Now let's move to the next question. And this question is actually very easy to deal with. First read out the question. And this is an anchor jumble. As you can already see, S1 and S6 means statement 1, statement 6 are constant, fixed. And we need to just rearrange in between S1 and S6, P, Q, or S. Now let's check it out once. Organic farming is always beneficial and promotes nature to sustain life on Earth. P. It also includes the rearing of animals in natural ways. Q. It also helps in keeping the natural taste of the food and keeps us away from the harmful chemicals used in the farming through inorganic method. R. It includes the growing of crops using natural methods and tools. S. The crop grown through organic farming remains full of all the nutrients. S6. In fact, organic farming is more productive than inorganic farming. So, as we already have the opening statement, we don't need to bother about identifying the opening statement here. However, you can actually eliminate the wrong options easily here. See, I don't consider, by looking at the options, you can assume, you can get to know that our second statement is P is among P, Q, and R, which means S is not our second statement because in options, no option is starting with S. So we will directly eliminate S for the second position. Next, now let's see P, Q, or S. So in P, you have mentioned something called it also includes. So in statement 1, we are just talking about what, like how organic farming is useful, right? We're just saying that what organic farming is. It is beneficial and it promotes nature to sustain life on Earth. So in similar words, it's more like a definition to the organic farming, or it is just defining it, right? So it is introducing what organic farming is. However, we have not used anything or we have not mentioned about anything which is included in it. But in P, you have this option called also. You know the meaning of also? Just now in the previous example, I have explained it. Also means if there is one, if you're adding one or two to this one, you will get the result. First of all, in order to add something, you need to have the first number for sure. So I like chocolate. I also like ice cream. So the term also is like an addition, right? We are adding one more point to it. In S1, in our statement 1, we have not talked about anything which includes in organic farming. So you cannot use the term also. So in P, you have used also, and even in Q also you have used also, which means before that, means before using this P and Q, there should be a second statement. So P and Q will become your third or fourth. However, these both will not fall under this second statement position. So based on that, we will eliminate the options which are starting with P. So we can directly eliminate B and C and eliminate the option which is which is starting with Q also. Now what is the answer? Option D is the answer. Okay, are we talking about any helpful thing which is done by organic farming here? Maybe you can say like it also helps in. However, here if you say here you are talking about nature, but here you are talking about the taste of food and the chemicals and inorganic farming. So see, first of all, you are talking about organic farming, but in Q you have directly like jumped into what are the like helpful things like we get, how are the like how about the beneficiary things we get by this organic farming, and at last you are comparing this inorganic method to organic method. So see, inorganic method, but however here we are talking just about organic farming, we are not comparing anything. So hereby we can even understand that Q is also not having any connectivity or continuity to be used as our second statement, because here we are talking about the comparison, right? So we will eliminate A, B, and C. Now which is the option which is left out? What's the option that is left out? Option D. So now let's check whether option D is our right answer or not. organic farming is always beneficial and promotes nature to sustain life on earth. Okay, we are talking about life and something, right? It includes the growing of crops using natural methods and tools. So now in organic farming, what is included? We have spoken about that particular including thing, right? It also includes. So since here we are talking about include and it also includes. So R and P is a pair, right? So just now I told you, the moment you use also, which means before that you should talk about something which is including in it. So we got that something which is included in it. RP is a pair. Now, the crop grown through organic farming remains full of all the nutrients. Now here the comparison started, unlike inorganic method. So that's what we are comparing here. So S and Q, there is a comparison here. Now, if you see at Q again, if you read the Q carefully, at last we have spoken about something called inorganic method. So in fact, organic farming is more productive than inorganic farming. So after doing that comparison, after comparing it in Q, there we have concluded in statement 6. So inorganic method, inorganic farming. So idea elaboration is also there. One more clue to show us that option D is the right answer. Now let's move into the next question. A. This flight takes place on a hot summer day. B. It has a pair of wings but bites them off after its wedding flight. C. In the heat, the queen leaves the nest and goes out to meet a drone high up in the air. D. The queen is the mother of the entire population of a colony of ants. So if you look at the options by option verification, you can understand A, B, C, D all are taken as opening statements. However, we know A and B are for sure not our opening statements. Why? Because in B, you're talking about it has a pair of wings. So what has a pair of wings? Is it our opening statement? No. Why? Because this is incomplete. It has a pair of wings. What has a pair of wings? Our opening statement should contain subject in it, but that subject is here incomplete. So eliminate the option which is starting with B, means option 2 is eliminated. So if the options are like this, it is very easy for us to even choose the right answer. Why? Because if you can just identify the right opening statement, you can directly choose the answer. You don't need to wait till the ending of the sequence to get to know whether it is right or wrong. Just identify the opening statement will make our job easier to identify the right answer. Next, this flight. So which flight takes place? So again, there is no information, right? So we will eliminate the option which is starting with statement A. So option 2, option 4 eliminated. In the heat, the queen leaves the nest and goes out to meet a drone high up in the air. So in the heat means this is more like we are actually talking about a scenario. However, it is not the subject. Maybe queen is our subject, but it's like after talking about the introduction, we are talking about some scenario or about a situation. So we are not sure whether this is our opening statement or not. But look at D once. The queen is the mother of the entire population of a colony of ants. Yeah, here we have the proper subject and which is complete in sense. So based on that, we can conclude that our right answer is option 1. Once check it out. The queen is the mother of the entire population of a colony of ants. It has a pair of wings. So now what has a pair of wings? The queen has a pair of wings. So now we got the answer for it. Based on noun pronoun replacement, D and B should be side by side. B and like D and B. It's not B and D. But if you look at this option 3, there it is written as BD, but it should be DB. After D, it should be B. Since there is noun pronoun replacement. So we can eliminate option 3 based on this particular tip given to us, which is known to us. So now let's check. So till now we are clear why DB is the sequence. Now let's check A and C also. Since we are talking about wedding flight, so now here there is a continuity. Here we are elaborating the same flight. This flight, which flight? Wedding flight, which we have mentioned in B. So that is the reason B and A comes after. Okay, B and A is a sequence. So D, B, A. In the heat, the queen leaves the nest and goes out to meet a drone high up in the air. So this is more like the conclusion. So our right answer is option 1. Now let's move into the next question. Yay. But it is also an age of short-term goals, changing career paths, decentralized structures and decision making. B, the new age of information and society of organizations. C, and jobs that no longer guarantee lifetime employment. D, is not just about egalitarian teams replacing the hierarchies of yesteryear. So as you can see here, based on the options, we can directly assume, like we can directly confirm that our opening statement is B. And the remaining statements are all also starting incompletely. Like C is starting with end and D is starting with is. Without any subject, we are directly starting with a verb. And A is contrasting some idea. Like what is that idea? We have no clue again. So based on that, even though it is not given in options also, we can clearly identify it just by looking at the paragraph structure that B is our opening statement. Okay, let's understand the idea of our subject. The new age of information and society of organization, which means our subject is the new age. And if you look at A, but it is also an age of short-term goals. So, but is actually contrasting. It is a contrast signpost word, right? Means we are comparing one age with another. Okay, it is not, this age is not just about this, it is also about that, but it is also about that. That's what we are talking about here. Now let's see. The new age of information and society of organizations is not just about egalitarian teams replacing the hierarchies of yesteryear. So B and D is a pair. So there we are actually till like in B, we are just talking about the subject. Okay. New age of information and society of organization. The whole sentence, the whole statement is talking just about the subject. Next, after subject in a sentence, generally we need to use a verb also, right? Is not just about, okay. B and D is a pair. After that, and jobs that no longer guarantee lifetime employment, but it is also an age of. So in A, now like B, D and C all together is compared as one particular phrase. Okay. And we are comparing B, D, C to A. So A is contrasting the idea which we have actually spoken in B, D and C. So based on that, our answer is option C. Let's check it once. This is very easy. So let's move into the next question. The lion used to be very distributed in Asia and Africa. P. There are special forest zones set aside for wildlife in various countries. Q. Indiscriminate killing by hunters has been the cause of this drastic fall in their numbers. R. Today there are a relatively rare species. S. If this species survives at all, it will be only in national parks. Statement 6. No hunting is permitted in such reserved areas. As you can see, this paragraph is in anchor parajumble structure. So statement 1 and statement 6 is already given. So there is no need of us finding the opening statement since it's already given. Now let's figure out the second statement. So in statement 1, what are we talking about? Lion. So what is our subject? Lion is our subject. The lion used to be very distributed in Asia and Africa. So there are special forest zones aside for wildlife. Okay, as you can see, no option is actually starting with P as our second statement. So we can eliminate this P. Now Q, R and S based on the option verification. So our second statement lies in these three statements, Q among these three statements, Q, R and S. As you can see, here we are actually talking about lions as our subject. But in Q, if you see, indiscriminate killing by hunters has been the cause of. So have we ever mentioned that lions are extinct now or they were being killed or anything like related to their killing or anything in statement 1? No, right? So this is providing information. Q is providing information for something else, but it is not the connection or the next sequential order in this after statement 1. That is not our statement 2. Why? Because it is providing the information about something else which is even not related to statement 1. So we will eliminate Q as our second statement also. So how many options are starting with Q? Only one option. We will eliminate option A here. Now we are left with R and S. So I strongly say that R is our second statement. Why? Because today they are a relatively rare species. So the term they is referring to what? Noun pronoun replacement. Here we have used a pronoun, and that pronoun is representing. It is referring to lion, the noun lion. So based on noun pronoun replacement, after S1, the second statement should be R. How many options are starting with R? We have two options which are starting with R. B and D. Now let's see the statement 3. So we will eliminate R because we have already taken R as S2. Now S3. We are left with P, Q and R. Today they are a relatively rare species. Okay. Why now they are considered rare? What is the reason? Indiscriminate killing by hunters has been the cause of this drastic fall. So why they become rare species? This drastic fall. Which drastic fall? They becoming the rare species. And what is the reason for it? Indiscriminate killing by hunters. Now we got the reason. So why today they are considered as relatively rare species? Because of this reason, which is mentioned in Q. So after R, it should be Q. So statement 2 and statement 3 are also taken. RQ is the order. So how many options are taking the sequences R and Q side by side? Only one option. In BD, the answer is D. Now let's check the complete option. Next, till now we are talking about why they are becoming rare species these days and today, right? So if the species survives at all, so now we are saying that it has become rare species, right? If ever they can survive, means they can survive only in national parks. And for those national parks, we have special forest zones set aside for wildlife in various countries. No hunting is permitted in such reserved areas. So what are those reserved areas? So the term reserved areas is actually referring to the special forest zones. So idea elaboration. So our last statement means nothing but statement 5 should be P and statement 2 should be R. So based on that, option D is the right answer, as I told you before. Okay, that's all for today, guys. I hope you have learned something new in today's video, and see you again soon in the next video. Bye bye.